So as a physician, I was frequently encountering situations in the hospital where I'd be like, that's a great business idea. If someone could make something around this, then you could make lives better for the patients, the doctors, save the hospitals a lot of money. But I had someone who's gone through medical school, all these years of training, I had no business framework on how to vet an idea or take it forward. So when the opportunity to do PRIE came along, it was like a no-brainer, because it was an opportunity to learn from the best faculty at this nation's #1 business school here in Silicon Valley. And so I just jumped at it when it came along. PRIE, in many ways, just changed my perspective on a lot of things I do every day, because I would no longer just think of something as, wow, that's a great idea because it sounds good, but actually bring it forward and say, oh, it's a great idea, but these are the things that would need to happen. So for instance, we're working on a project that involves a medical device, and it has completely changed my framework on how one would think of what is useful to something that is actually marketable and developable into a real product. And so that's been phenomenal. The classes at the design school, for instance, were totally hands-on, were fantastic. The negotiations class, where, I'm going to be looking for a job soon, and it's great to have someone formally work through how do you negotiate on compensation or other things when looking for a job. So it was, even outside of entrepreneurship, it's been fantastic. So how I think PRIE is going to help me in the long term is that one of the projects that we pitched, we're going to move forward on it. But even in the 16 weeks that we were working on the project, as we kept learning more about the business ideals, it kind of changed. The project evolved so dramatically from who we're going to pitch, how are we going to raise the initial money, how are we going to take it forward. So it's provided this phenomenal framework on how to think about business ideas, which is going to be very useful, not just in the project we're currently leading, but also going forward in other projects that come along. We learned from phenomenal faculty, and it was an extremely practical and hands-on curriculum. So the project that we worked through, starting from the very idea to how do you raise money for it, how would you market it, what are your financials, something that as a doctor I've never thought of before. To me, though, the most valuable thing about the program was working with the other people in the class, because it was an amazingly diverse group, both from the Stanford grad students. We had a material scientist, a statistician, a medical student, a project manager, the works. It was an extremely diverse group of very smart people. And then you talk about the people who came in from the Bay Area, which was just a completely new perspective, because these are people who've been out of school for 15 years and have been working on a real job, which is, and so their perspective on the entrepreneurial world was completely different. And so I think working with these really smart people with very different perspectives from my own was probably the most valuable thing about the class.